Welcome to USA Stories channel. We hope you will have fun with us. Enjoy watching. Here's your introduction. I never imagined that the happiest day of my life would turn into a nightmare before it even ended. From the moment I walked down the aisle, everything felt like a dream until it didn't. My husband, the man I thought I knew better than anyone, had been hiding something from me. And on our wedding night, just hours after we promised to love each other forever, he dropped a bombshell that shattered everything I believed about our relationship. It started as a perfect day. Before the story spirals even further, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications for more. And when the story ends, don't forget to show your support through likes and comments to the vows, the cheers, the first dance. It all felt magical. I had spent months planning every little detail, imagining our wedding as the beginning of our beautiful future together. And for a while it was. We laughed, we celebrated, and when the night finally started winding down, I couldn't wait to be alone with him, to soak in the joy of finally being husband and wife. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. As we entered our hotel suite, I noticed something was off. He was quiet, his usual warmth replaced by a strange, distant look. I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe he was just exhausted from the long day. But deep down I felt that something was wrong. I reached for his hand, but he pulled away, running a nervous hand through his hair. That's when I knew. Whatever he was about to say wasn't going to be good. Then he looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before: regret, fear, maybe even guilt. His voice was barely above a whisper when he said, "There's something I need to tell you. And after this, you might not want to be married to me." My heart stopped. My mind raced through 1,000 possibilities. Was he sick? Did he do something terrible? Was there another woman? I felt my stomach twist as I struggled to process what was happening. This wasn't how our wedding night was supposed to be. We were supposed to be laughing, holding each other, celebrating our love. Instead, I stood there, frozen, waiting for words that could change my life forever. And then he told me. I wish I could say I handled it gracefully, but the truth is I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. The man I had just vowed to spend my life with had been keeping a secret so big, so life-altering, that in a matter of seconds, everything I believed about us came crashing down. I didn't see it coming. I don't think I ever could have what he confessed. That night left me questioning everything: who he really was, what our marriage even meant, and whether I could ever trust him again. But the worst part, one had no idea what to do next. Would I stay? Would I walk away? Could love survive something like this? I had only just become a wife, and now I wasn't even sure if I still wanted to be one. I stood there staring at him, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The room felt smaller, the air suddenly too thick to breathe. My mind begged me to say something, anything, but my lips wouldn't move. It was as if time had slowed, trapping me. In this moment between the life I thought I had and the one I was suddenly forced to face, he took a shaky breath, his hands clenched at his sides. "I should have told you before the wedding," he murmured, his voice heavy with regret. Justin didn't know how I felt. My throat tightened. "Then why now?" I whispered. "Why tell me tonight after everything?" His eyes met mine, filled with something I couldn't quite place. Fear, maybe, or the realization that the secret, whatever it was, could destroy us. He looked like a man standing on the edge of a cliff, waiting to see if he'd be pushed, or if I'd somehow pull him back. I searched his face for answers, my mind racing through every interaction we'd ever had. I missed the signs. Was there something in the way he held me, kissed me, loved me, that should have warned me this was coming? He ran a hand over his face, exhaling shakily, "Because I couldn't keep lying to you." Lying. The word hit me like a slap. How long had he been lying since we met, since he proposed? Had I built my entire future on something that wasn't even real? I felt my knees weaken, so I sank onto the edge of the bed, my wedding dress pooling around me. The fabric that had felt so beautiful just hours ago now felt suffocating, like I was wrapped in a dream that was unraveling. Thread by thread, he took a hesitant step closer. "I love you," he said, his voice breaking. "That's the truth, no matter what. That's real." I let out a hollow laugh, shaking my head. "You say that, but I don't even know what's real anymore." I wanted to scream, to cry, to demand answers, but I was too afraid of what I might hear. What could be so terrible that he thought I wouldn't want to be his wife anymore? The worst part was the way he looked at me, like he was already preparing for me to leave, like he had accepted the possibility that after tonight we might never be the same again. I swallowed hard, my voice barely above a whisper. "Just tell me." His next word shattered everything. He hesitated, his lips parting, as if he was about to speak. But then he stopped himself. His eyes flickered to the floor, his hands gripping the back of a chair like he needed something to hold on to. The silence stretched between us, thick and unbearable. "Please," I whispered, "whatever it is, just say it." When he finally did, the words didn't make sense. At first it was like my brain refused to process them, but as the weight of his confession sank in, I felt my whole body go numb. I stared at him, waiting for him to take it back, to tell me this was some cruel joke, but his face told me the truth. This was real. He had been keeping the secret for God knows how long, walking down the aisle with me, saying vows, slipping a ring on my finger, all while knowing that the life we were supposed to start together was built on a lie. "I wanted to tell you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper so many times, "but I was afraid of what of losing me, of how I'd react, or had he just hoped that if he waited long enough, he'd never have to tell me at all." I could feel my pulse racing, my hands trembling in my lap. I wanted to scream, to demand why he had let me believe in something that was never real. But more than anything, I wanted to understand. "So what now?" I asked, my voice unsteady. His eyes met mine, filled with something I couldn't quite name. "That depends on you." And just like that, my entire future was in my hands, but I had no idea what to do next. The room felt like it was closing in on me, the walls pressing tighter. With every second that passed, my mind was spinning, replaying his words over and over, trying to make sense of them. I wanted to believe there was some kind of explanation, something that would make this all less unbearable. But deep down I knew there wasn't. I stood up, my legs unsteady beneath me. "You should have told me before the wedding," I said, my voice shaking. "You should have given me a choice." His jaw clenched, guilt flashing across his face. "I know," he admitted, "but I was scared of losing you." I let out a shaky laugh, the sound bitter. "And now," I asked, "do you think keeping this from me was supposed to make me stay?" He ran a hand through his hair, frustration mixing with desperation in his eyes. "I thought I could fix it before you ever had to know." Fix it, as if it was something he could just undo, something that wouldn't leave a permanent scar on everything we had built. My stomach twisted at the thought of all the moments we had shared, the love I had believed in so deeply, now tainted by this one truth he had kept hidden. I could feel the weight of his eyes on me, waiting for me to say something to react. But I didn't know how every part of me was at war, my love for him battling against the betrayal, my heart screaming at me to stay while my mind begged me to walk away. And then, just as I thought I had finally grasped the worst of it, he said something that changed everything again. His voice was barely above a whisper, but the weight of his words hit me like a crashing wave. "There's more." I froze, my breath catching in my throat. "More." My heart was already barely holding itself together, and now he was telling me that what I had just heard, the confession that had shattered my entire world, wasn't even the whole truth. I shook my head, stepping back instinctively. "No," I said, my voice almost breaking. "No, you don't get to do this. You don't get to drop this on me and then say there's more." But the look on his face told me that whatever he was about to say was something he had been holding on to. Just as tightly as his first confession, he swallowed hard, rubbing his hands together as if trying to find the right way to say it. "I didn't just lie to you," he finally admitted. "Other people knew, and they helped me keep it from you." A cold shiver ran through me. Other people. I felt like the floor was tilting beneath me. This wasn't just between us anymore. It meant that someone, maybe multiple people, had been smiling in my face, acting like everything was fine, all while knowing the truth. Who? I demanded, my voice sharp. Who knew? He hesitated, and in that hesitation I saw everything. It wasn't just strangers or people. I barely knew it was worse than that, and when he finally said the names, it felt like my entire world crumbled all over again. People I trusted, people. I had shared my deepest fears and happiest moments with people who had stood beside me on my wedding day, laughing and celebrating, knowing full well that the man I was marrying was keeping a secret that could destroy me. Tears burned in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. "How could they?" I whispered. "How could you let them?" His expression was pained, but I didn't care. I wasn't sure I could ever look at him the same way again. I had thought the worst of this was the lie he had kept from me. But now I realized it was so much more than that. It was betrayal on every level. I had never felt so alone, because if the people I trusted most had been lying to me all this time, then who could I trust? Now the silence between us stretched thick with everything left unsaid. I wanted to scream, to demand answers. But what was the point? No matter what, he said, now nothing could change the fact that the people I trusted had played a part in this betrayal. He took a step toward me, his eyes pleading. I know you hate me right now. I don't blame you. I let out a hollow laugh. Hate you? My voice trembled. I don't even know you. He flinched, and for the first time that night, I saw real fear in his expression. Maybe he had thought I would be angry, that I would yell or cry or fall apart, but he hadn't expected this. The cold, empty feeling settling inside me, the realization that I had nothing left to give him. You don't understand, he said, desperately. I kept it from you because I thought I was protecting you. If I had told you the truth before the wedding, then I would have had a choice. I cut him off, my voice sharper than I intended. You didn't protect me. You controlled me. You decided for me. His shoulders sank, and for a brief moment I saw it, the regret, the weight of what he had done. Maybe he had convinced himself that he was doing the right thing. But now, faced with the consequences, he saw what I saw. It was too late. I turned toward the door, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely hear anything else. I needed to leave to get away from the walls that had witnessed my entire world falling apart in a single night. But just as my fingers brushed the handle, his voice stopped me. Wait. Something in his tone made my stomach drop. It wasn't just desperation. It was something darker, a final plea. But for what I wasn't sure, I slowly turned back, my breath unsteady. What else? His jaw tightened. You need to know that you're not the only one. This affects. Confusion flickered through me. What are you talking about? He hesitated, then took a deep breath. If you leave now, someone else is going to get hurt, and I can't let that happen. A chill ran through me. This wasn't just about us anymore, whatever secret he had been keeping, whatever lies had been told. It wasn't over, not yet. I stood frozen, his words rattling inside my head. Someone else is going to get hurt. I didn't know what he meant, but something in his voice told me he wasn't just trying to keep me from leaving. He was afraid, and not just for himself. My throat tightened, who I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated, glancing toward the door, as if expecting someone to burst in at any moment. It's complicated, he said. Finally, but I swear I didn't just lie to you for myself. I was trying to keep others safe. I swallowed hard, my mind spinning. I wanted to believe him, but how could I? He had lied for so long, twisted the truth, until I didn't even know what was real anymore. And now, standing here on our wedding night, he expected me to trust him again. Tell me everything, I said, my hands clenched into fists. No more secrets, no more half-truths. If you want me to believe, you tell me the whole truth right now. His shoulders sagged, and for the first time all night, he looked completely defeated. It's not my story to tell, he admitted. But I can't let you go without knowing that if you walk away, there are people who will pay the price. And I don't want that on my conscience. I don't want it on yours either. My pulse pounded in my ears. Every part of me screamed to run, to leave him, and the tangled mess of lies behind. But a small part of me, the part that had once loved him, hesitated, because as much as I hated what he had done, I could see it. Now he wasn't just protecting himself, and that terrified me even more. I took a deep breath, my decision settling in my C*******T like a stone. I can't live like this, I said. Finally, I can't be in a marriage where I have to wonder what else you're keeping from me. His face crumbled, but he nodded as if he had known all along that this would be the end. I understand, he whispered. I turned, gripping the doorknob with trembling fingers. I wasn't sure what would happen next. I didn't know who else was involved or what the full truth really was, but I did know one thing. I couldn't stay without another word. I walked out, and I didn't look. If you enjoyed this suspenseful story and want to hear more, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more thrilling content.